Welcome to the Run Out. I am Neil Barrett. He is Brandon Hooten. We have a huge week to talk about this weekend, whatever we are. I don't even know what we're at anymore. Princeton wins their first national championship in 25 years. The Tewaaraton feels very up in the air, and Jeff Teat is out for the season. But before we get into all of that, as always, Brandon, how we doing, man?
Doing well. Was camping all weekend, so a bit tired from that. Woke up very early for graduation this morning as well, so been quite the week, but can't complain. Didn't work for the first 3 days of the week, so I can't complain.
not a bad way to go about the week for sure. I felt like I was going to ask you something. I don't remember what it was. Oh, I do remember what it was. One thing I forgot to tell you last week, thought you might want to know. Michael Carrick was officially signed as the new full-time manager of Manchester United. Thought you might.
I thought he was already full-time.
He was, but he was an interim. He was an interim manager. So he was the full-time manager, but it was at the end of the season they were going to look for a new one, and instead they just decided to keep him because he did pretty well. Thought you might enjoy that. You can hop on the Michael Carrick bandwagon.
Let's go. Always knew he was built for this.
Yeah, that's right. And then the next thing, which I'm glad we recorded on Wednesday. I forgot to mention that we are recording on Wednesday, not on Tuesday like we normally do. But I'm kind of glad that we did because we can talk about how your Colorado Avalanche got swept.
There's not much to talk about. Just bad hockey.
Bad hockey.
It
was not a.
Yeah, I even
especially given how
I'm joking about the mob. It was that bad. I was like, "There's no shot that they aren't involved in this." Like,
well, it was really funny too because like they were so good the first two rounds. Like, what do you mean they didn't even? Correct me if I'm wrong. The games weren't even very close, right?
I mean, score-wise they were, but if you watch them, I don't really feel like they were. I mean, it was tough because the first two games you're missing Cale Makar, and you're thinking, all right, it's just because he's out. And once he's back, you're fine. And then he comes back game 3, and McKinnon gets injured. And you're like, oh, okay. And they also didn't mention, I'm not going to point fingers, they didn't even mention on the broadcast that Big Val went out as well in game 3. Missed game 4. So you're already playing bad hockey, and then you just get hit with like the worst injury bug of all time. It's just horrendous. I never want to win the most games in hockey ever again. That's awful. Of course, I mean, I would have been fine losing to not literally any other team, almost any other team but them, because their fans are just awful. So that sucked, but hey, it happens.
Unfortunately, we won't be getting a Carolina, Colorado Stanley Cup like we were hoping for. Still got a chance that Carolina makes it.
Yeah, they're playing right now. Just gotta hold on for right now. 2 games. Well, game and a half now, I guess. But yeah.
Okay,
I'm jumping on that bandwagon because I don't want the Knights to win at all. So
that's what I like to hear. Jump on that bandwagon. We'll take
but you know what?
That's fine.
If you would have told me before the season your team's gonna lose before the Stanley Cup, at least I got to watch good hockey for most of the year. So
yeah.
we could be one of these teams that's just awful start to finish, and it just sucks to even care about the team. Yeah,
I was gonna say that there's 28 other teams that would like to be in your position. So
yeah, that's how I'm gonna
Carolina
with another.
Carolina and Montreal at 0-0. In all of the games so far, they've had such quick goals. I had to check the score just to make sure, but it's 0-0. So let's get into this past weekend. We will start with the men's semifinals. The first game saw Princeton absolutely smoke my Duke Blue Devils. 14-7, not super fun, but
It's fun for some people.
well, yeah, but also one, like I have said all year, I never thought they'd even make it to the Final Four, so I got to be stoked about that. And Ryan Craddock was playing out of his freaking mind. So, we actually, correct me if I'm wrong because I think you have the stats up, but we outshot them. We out ground balled them. I think we had more time of possession. We had fewer penalties, less turnovers. Like, we basically led in every statistical category except for Ryan Craddock's save percentage, which I think was it 80? Is that what it was?
He made 20 saves, 7 goals against, so 20 for 27, whatever that is. 74%.
74. Okay, so not quite 80. But yeah, like at the end of the day, I'm not too mad at it. I was hoping we could have scored a few more goals, but when you watch the game and you're like, I mean, some of these shots, like, they're great shots. Like, we're getting the look we want, we're putting the shot where we want. He's just making the save, and that there's not a whole lot I can really say about that. And not for nothing, not just because we picked them, but I think Princeton has looked like the best team for pretty much the entire season, minus game one when, they got blown out by Penn State. But barring that game, I think they have been the best team all season long.
Pretty much. I mean, we didn't think Duke was going to win this game anyway, so the only thing is, just like you said, maybe make it more competitive, but I mean, they're the champs. And look what they did. Look where they did in the national championship to arguably, the 1A, 1B team all year. Like,
yeah, we'll get to
we'll take that
obviously
on
we'll get to that. yeah, obviously we'll get to that game. But seeing how the rest of the results played out, I felt so much better. Like, I was just like, oh man, just don't let everyone else be competitive and this be the one blowout. And the fact that basically the whole game, or the whole weekend turned into blowouts, it was like, okay, all right, Princeton was just a team on a mission. I don't even want to say that they were that much better than the other three teams. They just were the team on the mission. They had their best games at the right times. I think those four teams could play, 7-game series, and you'd probably not get these blowouts again. But we did this time. So let's move over to the second semifinal of the weekend that saw Notre Dame absolutely blow the doors off of Syracuse by even worse, 15-7. I don't even know what happened in this game. I mean, just everything worked for Notre Dame. Josh Yago had 7 points. Joey Spallina had 2 points. It was just kind of one of those games for them. I thought Syracuse probably should have gone at the Sean Light matchup with Joey Spallina a little bit more. Early in the game, he dodged well, got to a good position, and just missed the shot. I think he missed one shot and forced a save on the other, and then they basically never went back to that matchup the whole rest of the game. Notre Dame was just... it felt like Notre Dame just wanted it more. They were just hungrier. They were first to every ground ball. They were just outworking Syracuse everywhere. So, I don't really know what else there is on this game.
Yeah, basically the same thing as the last one. Just outstanding goalie play from Notre Dame, and they obviously forced the others to beat them on Syracuse, and that's not a slight to any of their players. I mean, they have a bunch of really good guys that are now going on to play pro, and other dudes that were at the pro day and stuff like that. So they're very solid players, but you could just kind of tell that it was just like at some point you guys are gonna have to beat us or you're losing the game, and that's sort of what happened. And then when you have Josh Yago doing just apparently everything on the lacrosse field all at once,
Yeah.
what a, I mean what a statement for him to have 11 shots on goal and put 3 of them in the back of the net, add another 4 assists is just great for him.
Yeah, back-to-back 7-point games for him between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. Just incredible. And I think he's very much the heartbeat of that team. Like they drew so much from him when he was rolling. The whole team was rolling. So great to see him. Let's talk real quick about the 2 teams that didn't move on, because we'll talk about the other 2 in a minute. How do you feel about these 2 teams moving forward?
I mean, I think Duke is in a good spot, but it almost puts them with more pressure next year.
Yep.
Which probably isn't fair to them because they shouldn't really even be in this position this year, but because they are, and they're just going to get more mature and a little bit better, I think that should probably raise them up a little bit. For Cuse, that's a Brian Knows Lax question right there. He'll have more to say than I will, but I felt like this was kind of like the year. That's not to say that they're going to be bad by any means or anything next year, but I just felt like it was kind of building up to, okay, this is the one, and it just fell, 8 goals short, unfortunately. So we'll see. I don't want to make too much of a prediction, but for Duke at least, I think this is kind of the stepping stone of like, okay, you have to get back here at least and make it a more competitive game. But even if they do that and they lose, their fans are going to be upset that they didn't make it further after this year. So I don't know.
Yeah, Duke's interesting because, like I said, like I've been saying all year, I think this team is more built for next year. The only someone's going to be like, oh, they're missing this person. The only person in their like starting 10 that they're going to be missing next year is Aiden McGuire. He's the only one. So for a while they were going to be missing the goalie that I'm totally blanking on his name. I always want to call him Patrick Jameson. That's his name. For a while they were going to be missing Patrick Jameson, but he ended up losing his starting spot to Buck Cunningham. So Buck Cunningham will be back next year, so they'll be good in goal. They'll be good on defense. I think that rope unit got a lot better, so I'm not super worried. I mean, obviously you'll miss Aiden McGuire, obviously. Not that I necessarily thought he should have been the number 1 pick, but he was made a number 1 pick for a reason. He is a very good player. We will miss him. Everyone else on that offense returns, except for Thomas Minke and Owen Gaffney, who are 2 kind of rotation players. And actually, I take that back. I think Jack Packman will be gone too. But those are 3 rotational players. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think they are going to be in a good position, although you do bring up a very good point, is that now they're going to have expectations. We saw, I think, what happens when they played without expectations this year. Not this year. Those last few weeks when they went to UNC and everyone was like, it doesn't really matter, your season's over. And they just blew the doors off of them. And then they kind of sneak into the playoffs. And again, the saying was they're playing with house money because arguably they shouldn't have been there. We can debate about that until we're blue in the face, but there's at least an argument that they shouldn't have been there. And they go to Richmond in front of the largest first round crowd ever and are down, whatever it was, 12-9, I think, and rattled off 5 straight goals to win. Then they go to Georgetown, wherever they were. Delaware is where they were. But they go play Georgetown, and again, they're not really supposed to be there. They smoke them, and then obviously they run into Princeton in the semifinals, that's a whole thing. But now they're going to have expectations. I've seen people already having them in top 5 for next year. So they're definitely going to have expectations. And I think it won't just be expectations externally. I think it's going to be internally too. I mean, nobody starts a season and is like, oh, let's not go win the national championship. Like it doesn't, you could be at LIU and they're going to be like, hey, let's go shock the world this year. Like everyone starts the season that way. But I think they're going to have some real expectations to be at that level again. But like you said, moving over to Syracuse, there's just I don't know who's left legitimately. I mean, it feels like everyone that they had, every one of their like big name players was a senior. I think Jimmy McCool's back, the goalie.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. As far as I know, I think he's coming back. But I mean, Finn Thompson, Joey Spallina, Michael Leo, who else? Billy Dwan, like everyone that you think of on that team is gone. So it feels like they're going to just have, like you said, I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I'm not saying they're going to be the worst team in the ACC even. They're going to have a lot to like rebuild from that roster, and you know, we'll have to see how that works. One other question I guess for you is specifically as it relates to Syracuse, what is in your mind? There's lots of talk about legacy with this class of seniors. I just wonder what your thoughts are on that.
As far as what?
Like, what is the legacy of this senior class? You know, they didn't win a championship, and Joey said after the semifinal game in his press conference, you know, I lied. We did not, you know, win a national championship. That's what we were here to do. That's what I said we were gonna do, and we didn't get it done. This is mostly a question, I think, for the Syracuse fan base. Clearly, nobody hates Syracuse like Syracuse fans. And so there's been a lot of discussion and debate about what like the legacy of this senior class is.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's a bad discussion in general from fans because I think a lot of times it just relies on championships, and if that's the case, then 99.999% of players, coaches, teams have a poor legacy because they never win. Yep. Or they make it all the way and then get blown out, you know, get the doors blown off them. So, in my opinion, from an outsider perspective, I think they have a very positive legacy because this is, and again, this is from a fairly new college fan. This is one of those teams that I will look back at and be like, oh, I remember watching them play and put on a show with a lot of these seniors that looked great week in and week out. Some of the, you know, you watch some teams every week and it's like, one guy will pop off here or there or whatever, and it's like maybe you remember a game or two, but this is a team where it's like I watched them come to Denver and I watched them play in person. Like that was a very vivid thing for me. I understand though the same point of like it was championship or bust, you didn't get it done, but like same thing for Notre Dame. I mean they just got blown out in the championship. You know what I mean? Like same thing for a couple of these other teams as well. So. I know team fans of this team will be harsh on them, as we've already seen online, and just being overly dramatic about things for no reason. But at the end of the day, also, look at how many of these guys are going pro. To me, that says a lot more about your legacy and your program than how many championships you win. Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of great teams that win championships that you don't see their players playing pro. And it's not because they can't. It's not because they, you know, got a crazy job offer. It's because they literally do not have the same talent that a team like Hughes has and has had for 4 years. So,
yeah, I mean, the Princeton team's got maybe 4 dudes that are going to play PLL lacrosse. Syracuse has 7, 8, 9. There's a significant number.
And it's all from different positions too. It's not like it's just one group.
Yep.
I mean, it's attackmen, it's middies, it's defensemen. Like it's to me that, and also I saw people like arguing about like Gary Gait, saying he's like an awful coach and whatever. Didn't even know that was a discussion. I didn't even know that Syracuse fans like didn't like Gary Gait.
Yep. Yeah, lots of them don't. In fact, I don't know if you saw the dumbest conversation I've ever heard was about Gary Gait's hat.
Yeah,
from Syracuse
I did
fans.
See that. Yeah.
I can't imagine a more dumb conversation than what hat Gary Gait is wearing while standing on the sidelines in the rain. Gary Gait doesn't normally wear a hat.
Right.
I have a feeling that it was raining and he just kind of grabbed a hat. Like, I don't think it was like this intentional thing. He just was like, oh crap, it's raining, I'm going to throw a hat on. And he just grabbed a hat.
Yeah.
And it became this big, stupid story. And it was like, what? And everyone's like, well,
to me, it was like you're just coping even harder. Like, there's no way our team just got blown out. We need to find some other story to, like, cry about because clearly he's lost the team and he's all about himself or something. I was like, you guys are just, like...
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't like you point out to the people on Twitter. They're a heavily sponsored, I don't know if they officially are or not, people are arguing that, but sponsored team by Gait. The Gait hat was in orange and blue. It wasn't like he had some random, like, green Gait hat and was like, look at me and my brand. Like, no, it was a team, clearly a team designed hat. Like, come on.
Yeah, it had HHH on the side, which has been Syracuse's slogan since as long as I can remember. Head, heart, hustle, HHH. I was like, it is a Syracuse Gait hat, and I don't know what officially is their sponsor. Last I knew, it was officially Gait, but whether or not that contract has expired or not, I don't know. But I know for a fact it is not just Joey Spallina and Luke Roa and a couple of guys who have signed Gait contracts. Every single member of that team is wearing Gait gloves, Gait protective equipment. They're using Gait shafts. They're using Gait heads, with the exception of a few guys who have replaced their Gait head with something that they like. I know John Mullen was using a Warrior Nas, their face-off guy, because that's a good face-off head. And so he just wasn't using that, and he was using the Nas. And it's like, what are we talking? This is so stupid. Your team has made their second consecutive Final Four for the first time since 2008, 2009, which was over 15 years ago. And you guys are arguing about his hat? Who cares? Who cares? Like, what are we talking about?
Unacceptable.
I'm stressed. And you know what? I'm going to post this clip, and people are going to lose their minds.
I'm going to start using that excuse for like anytime any of my teams lose. I'm just going to be like, it was the hat. Did you not see he picked the wrong hat to wear that day?
He was wearing the wrong hat. That's right.
It made him not make adjustments throughout the game.
Listen, if there are two ways to get the internet mad at you, I have learned in the last few weeks. One is give praise to Joey Spallina and Gary Gait. That the Syracuse fans will come at you and say literally anything about UVA, and the UVA people will come at you. Both blue and orange schools, by the way.
Hey, okay. We're not putting down orange and blue now. We're not doing that.
I'm not putting down orange and blue. I'm saying I think there's something about orange and blue that just apparently seeps into your brain and makes you a lunatic.
Well, we can get into that in a bit.
All right, let's move on to the championship game. Princeton versus Notre Dame. Princeton goes down 3-0. Notre Dame comes out the gate flying. And for a moment, I was like, "Uh-oh, this is going to be a problem."
I'll be honest, I was busy, so I joined the game halfway through the fourth quarter. So I did not see any of the down 3-0 or the comeback. I just came in and it was like 11-3 or something like that. So I was feeling pretty good. I was like, yeah, this is kind of what I expected. Well, not as much of a blowout, but I was like, this is pretty good. So
yeah. So Notre Dame came out looking like they did in that Syracuse game of like they were the first to ground balls. They were making plays, putting the ball in the back of the net, and it was like, oh, this is going to be a problem. Especially my mind went back to that Penn State game of like, oh no, Princeton has just not come out for this first quarter, and like if Notre Dame gets up 6 or 7 goals, like they have the defense that could just like shut the door, and it'd be like, oh man. So I was like, oh no. And then Princeton called a timeout, down 3-0. And they came out, and I think fairly quickly after that, they scored one, and then they scored a second one, and then they scored a third one, and the first quarter ended 3-3. And I was like, okay, all right, we got a game here. And then Princeton came out in the second quarter and just didn't stop scoring. All in total, they went 11 unanswered goals to go in at halftime 11-3, and I mean it was over at halftime. Like I saw the TikTok guys. I don't know if you saw that the clip of them talking about like in the fourth quarter of all 3 of these games, the announcers just having to like try and keep people engaged and entertained, and
naming
just like
random facts.
Yeah, well, and then also like trying to pretend like it could become a game again. Like when Notre Dame started scoring a few here and there, every time they'd score one, it was like, all right, all they got to do is get one more, they'll be back in. You know, it's like,
I forget what the exact comment was, but there was definitely one of those where they said something along those lines of like, well, that could really jumpstart Notre Dame, and I was like, bro, do you see the scoreboard?
Yeah.
They'd have to score like every 30 seconds and do it like score, win the faceoff, go score again, win like their faceoff man has to drop a 2-time natural Hattie basically, 6 goals in a row or something. But hey, shout out to the zone. I saw some people that were like, oh, they're playing a zone. It got him a natty. So
yeah, no, I mean what if. I felt like the zone shouldn't have been that hard. They've got shooters. It felt like they didn't know how to beat a zone, like at all. Like they weren't even trying to beat the zone. They just kind of kept trying to do the same things. It was one of the weirder things about this game was just the absolute lack of adjustment on Notre Dame's part. Like I couldn't understand why they just kept kind of banging their head against the wall. I thought for a lot of the game they kept sending Josh Iago into the crease area, and it was like, why? I think the thought was that they were going to try and like use him as a pick and pop so that he could get some open looks, but it wasn't working at all. And they just kept doing that. And I was like, this dude is like the best player on your team, on your offense anyway. Like, what are we doing? I felt like the few good things that Notre Dame did all day came through playing through Josh Iago. And there just was too much time. You know, what we talked about with Brandon O'Neal. Like, there were just too many times when the ball was coming down and he just wasn't touching it. He wasn't doing anything. We talked about the semifinal and the quarterfinal. He had 14 points. I'm not sure he had 14 points or 14 touches of consequence in this game. He was often the point man on a break, So they would come down and pass to him, and he would just kind of hold it for a second, let the offense settle, and then pass it back out. So he probably ended up with a decent number of touches, but none of any real consequence. They were all just like simple exchanging the ball, and I was like, dude, like what are we doing here? But ultimately, Princeton wins 16-9. Do we get to call ourselves Lacrosse Geniuses?
2026 Lacrosse Geniuses. Yeah.
That's right. I'm
not going to say we are in general because I've had some bad takes, but I mean, I don't know.
Listen,
like, I don't get me wrong. People definitely acknowledge that Princeton was a favorite preseason. So it's not like we picked some like, bottom of the barrel team and dragged them to the championship. But it is pretty cool to be like stuck with them throughout, because there were definitely points in the season where people were saying, especially after the first week, that like, they're a good team, but can they get there? And then you kind of see, like we said, Notre Dame stay at the one spot for, I don't have the official number, but a ton of weeks. Just like, they're the best team, obviously. And I think just that's what's more impressive to me, honestly, is just not only did you win the national championship, but you did it convincingly in the final two games, where it was like, this is like, we're the best team. You're not supposed to be here with us, and this is what it is. And I think they gave a lot of their guys a good chance at getting probably a PLL look that maybe they weren't getting prior, especially Croddick. I know there's been a lot of talk about that too, but unfortunately, until we get expansion, it's going to be tough. But he's a guy that I'm like, maybe he's a fringe roster player right now, and then once they expand, now he has an opportunity. So, all I know is I'm one for one picking a national championship winning team preseason.
Well, hey, we got to find out who you got for next year.
Whoa! I'm gonna enjoy this win, and then we'll do that at a later date.
I can't believe you just gave us that coach speak.
Shout out to my Princeton Tigers.
Oh, your Princeton Tigers.
Actually, no, that game's over, so now I can jump ship and find I'm entering the transfer portal. We'll see who I transfer to. That's what kids are doing nowadays, right? We're just transferring for no reason.
You're gonna end up in Denver.
Hey, I mean, maybe the boy Chase Bruno's getting the PLL look right now, so. Hey, it was fun though, rooting for another team all season. Yeah. That was I know some people frown on it, but like, I knew Denver wasn't winning a national championship, even contending for it. So it was like, hey, at least I have this other team that I can enjoy, also rooting for.
That's the way I felt about Duke, about the Duke Princeton game. Was I was like, I mean, Duke's here. I want them to win. I don't think they are going to. And, at least if they lose, then it was a win-win for me. It was like, okay, cool. The team that we picked at the beginning of the season is in, or, Duke is in. Like, I'm not going to complain about that. So,
and Palumbo got his points goal as well. So,
yes, he did. Do you have that up in front of you? I don't remember what he ended with, because I think the last time I looked was before the championship game. I think he had 4-1 in the championship game.
Let's find out. Let's hope that they updated his stats on the Princeton page.
On the Princeton page, they will have. I know
they did. So he finished with 79 points.
79.
One shy of 80.
So
I feel like the first number I threw out was 70. If it was 80, oh well. So yeah, I mean that's.
No, it was 70.
Yeah, he had 4-1
in
that last game.
And to be fair, 70 as a midfielder was going to be tough. The move to attack really, really helped him.
Hey, I didn't specify how he got it.
The number was 70. That's true, you did not.
70.
It was not contingent on his position. We just said 70, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, if he's a midfielder, that's going to be tough. But we never said he had to have 70 as a midfielder.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely had games where it felt like he was maybe playing more midi just by shot attempts. He kind of flip-flopped in that regard where he'd have like 11 shots one game and then 5 the next. And he only took 3 shots against Duke, funny enough, and then he took 12 against Notre Dame. So, Attackman Palumbo, that's what the Chaos should be doing this summer, I think.
Well, I think part of the reason he only had 3 against Duke is because Duke made him the number 1 assignment, which was part of the reason I didn't like the way that we played defensively. I don't think he should have been the number 1 assignment. I think Nate Kabiri should have been, but it's kind of a pick your poison because if you had flipped that, Chad Palumbo probably would have just shredded you. He would have had 12 shots and scored 5 of them. So, you know, who knows? But I know you just said you wanted to enjoy this. Do you have any thoughts about next season?
Nope.
Now that 2026 is over.
None at all.
Fine, I'll just make you pick them next week. It's fine.
Hey, you know, at least at that point I can say I'm just going to pick the national champions.
We always do the you know, at the end of the season the way too early stuff, but we can wait a week at least. Let's at least talk about these games.
Way too early. Denver's winning it all. Cody Milosky, Tewaaraton, Grayson Manning, tournament MVP.
I was gonna say not Grayson Manning.
Oh, he's gonna win tournament MVP. Don't worry. Someone's gonna clip this, and then in a year from now, they're gonna be like, "Oh, but I thought you said Denver was gonna win it all," and I'm gonna have to be like, "All right, bro." Yeah.
I mean, you better watch out. I just had somebody come at me about a year-old tweet.
That's fine. I don't really. If Denver were to make it that far, at this point, I'd be very surprised. I'd be very happy, but very surprised. But we can pick another team preseason. I gotta look at how the transfer portal shakes out. Not that that's really gonna help me much, but I don't know. There could be some fun, sneaky teams to pick next year. That, you know, a team like Richmond really makes me think like,
I don't know, because they lost some dudes.
Well, I don't necessarily mean Richmond themselves. I just mean teams like them where it's like, if they don't play Duke first round, like, could they have made a run? Could that make picking a team next year a little bit more nuanced of like, maybe I pick someone that's not as highly favored that could go on a run at some point, but
Ohio State could be fun.
All right.
We're
not going for 10-9 games here. All right.
I'm just saying they're going to get BVB back. They're going to be all right.
That's actually, that. I'll consider that for next year.
But I was getting ready to say, we need some time to sit on it, think about it. Let's move over to the women's championship game. Northwestern knocked off UNC 14-11. This game was crazy because I felt like UNC was cruising and I was at work, and so I just like tuned out, and then all of a sudden I picked up my phone and it was very late and it was 14-11, and I was like, what just happened? Like, it felt like UNC was cruising. There were some questionable calls, let's say. Well, first of all, there's some weird rule things. Apparently, and I didn't know this, not that I know much about women's lacrosse at the NCAA level, but apparently you can't ever enter the crease, ever, at any point during the game.
Yeah.
Whistles blown, nothing. Like, you can never enter the crease. That blows my mind. What else was there? Oh, there was the shooting space rule where I think the girl moved her arm, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The one about going in the crease just made me think, like, I don't want the girls' game to be the men's game. Like, that doesn't need to be a thing. But some of the rule differences are just like why? Why can the men go in the crease after a shot and the women can't? It doesn't make any sense to me. It
If
feels like
anything,
one
it
of
should be
those.
reversed because the men do like crease dives and whatnot.
Yes,
And I'm
yes,
not advocating for that. To be clear, I think it's a dumb rule in the women's game. Like it's
right,
as
right.
long, in my opinion, if you stay out while you're shooting it and before the ball's crossing that line, like you're fine. Like it's not like we're seeing
Yeah,
girls dive into goalies or something, and like it's a safety problem.
right.
So now we have to have this rule. Like it doesn't even affect it. Like the one that you're talking about didn't even affect the play like at all. Like not
No,
even
not at all.
close.
No, it was a solid like 5 seconds after the goal was scored. She
Yeah.
had taken 3, 4, 5 steps and technically was kind of like bumped a little bit, or at least was trying to get around a defender and literally stepped on the line, like barely. It wasn't even and so barely that I'm surprised they were even able to overturn it, because it just didn't feel like there was necessarily indisputable evidence, which is fine. Like, call it whatever way you want, but it was such a insignificant thing to overturn a goal in the national championship. Felt insane. And like you said, if the rule was going to be in place in one and not the other, it felt like it should have gone the other way around, where, like you said, guys are diving and making contact and doing stuff like you said, it shouldn't be a rule in either situation. But if it was going to be in one, at least you could argue safety in that one. But like you said, that's not really an issue in the women's game. So like, why are we doing this? The other two, I just thought were bad calls, and lots of people were like, yeah, they were calling it bad both ways, and I'm not one to complain about the refs generally,
I am.
but I know you are. But it felt like it, and I'm not saying it's the reason that UNC lost the game. Like I said, they were up, they were cruising. It should have been, they should have won the game. So I'm not saying it's the reason UNC lost, but it's a 3-goal game. 3 of those goals went against them very directly and were at best questionable calls. So, and like we have talked about at other points this season, the national championship game became about those calls instead of the play
Yep.
on the field. And that's a bummer, because Chloe Humphrey had 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points. She tied Madison Taylor's goals in a season record at 109 goals this season. She finished with, I forgot to write it down. I think it was 148 points, which is insane. Madison Taylor had a goal and 6 assists. Also insane. Obviously, Northwestern wins. UNC had a player play with a torn ACL and play very well. And I apologize, I did not write the name down. That's insane. There was that, I don't know if you saw the highlight on TLN or any of the other places that were showing highlights. The backhand shovel shot that girl pulled off in traffic for UNC. Just insane. And instead of talking about those things, once again, we're talking about these awful reffing decisions. And again, some of them where you're like, this shouldn't even be a rule. Like I don't even blame the refs too much. I blame the rules. Like, the rules are dumb. They don't make any sense. The shooting space rule, where the girl literally threw her arm up like that and still barely made contact with the shooter's stick. And it was like what are we doing? I don't want women's lacrosse to become men's lacrosse. I know so many women's lacrosse players that don't want to play men's lacrosse. They're not trying to hit each other. They like the finesse, the skill, the speed of their game, and that's what they want to play. And so I don't think that it has to become the men's game and it has to be this contact game. But there's got to be some level of like, this is not, there's like letter of the law and spirit of the law. And that one, when I saw that one, I was like, what are we doing here? So anyway, Chloe Humphrey versus Madison Taylor is a good transition, I guess, into the Tewaaraton Award. It will be awarded tomorrow night. The men's finalists are Joey Spallina, Nate Kabiri, Owen Duffy, Willem Firth, and Sean Light. I probably should have mentioned the schools. You guys probably know what schools they go to. We'll do it for the women's. The women's finalists. Well, let's just talk about the men's first. Any thoughts on who wins that? It feels pretty much wide open. You think it's Spallina still?
Yep.
Why?
I mean, he's. How many attackmen did you just name there?
4.
I think he's the best attackman out of those 4. I think you saw when he got shut off in the Final Four what happened to his team. Now people will say, well, that's because he couldn't get going. Sometimes you just have a bad day. Sean Light, I think we all just kind of know won't. He's a D guy. He's at a disadvantage automatically, which sucks. But also that last game was not kind to him overall, even if it maybe wasn't necessarily
Definitely
individually.
true.
I think it's just you lose the game that bad and people are looking and nitpicking and like, oh, you know. So, I mean, Joey had a great year. Like, I know some people are going to hate because he's like the hyped player, but he had a great year, and that's not to say that if any of the others won, I'd be like shocked, because I do agree to an extent that it is kind of wide open, but I don't know. Maybe Kabiri gets the nod, but I think having Chad Palumbo kind of hurts him as well, especially after the game in the Natty that Palumbo had of just like he kind of took over to an extent. So, and Craddock as well took over. So, I don't know. I lean Joey, but that's just me.
I mean, I think you've got it down to. It feels like it's basically either Joey Spallina or Nate Kabiri. I think. What the heck? Sorry, something just popped up on my screen. I think. Sorry, I was looking to see what. Yeah, I mean, Nate Kabiri had 1 and 3 for 4 points in against Notre Dame. I think there's an argument for both. I'm not mad at either of those. I think Joey Spallina wins, and that's fine. I think Nate Kabiri wins, and that's fine as well. My feeling is Nate Kabiri, but you also bring up a good point. I wasn't so worried about Chad Palumbo, but I think Ryan Craddock is a good point, because I think you can very clearly make a case that, like, okay, without Chad Palumbo, certainly those score lines are probably not as bit large as they are, but I think you could make the argument that even without Chad Palumbo, they could probably win those games. They don't win those games without Ryan Craddock. Not the way he was playing. He was incredible. And so, does that hurt Nate Kabiri? Maybe. As well as Chad, but especially Ryan Craddock. Whereas, like you said, Joey Spallina was without Joey Spallina, that team's probably not even in the Final Four. So
I mean, they have a lot of good players, like we said earlier, but it's just he's kind of the engine that makes that offense go. And we've seen it numerous times where it's like, oh, they're shutting him off a little bit, and it's like no one else is getting good shots. You know, they're not getting set up well. Like, it's just... Whereas the others, I think, generally don't necessarily have to be the initiator and someone who also produces statistically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I think... like you said, I don't think there's any way Sean Light wins it. Like, it's just not going to happen.
No. I mean, that'd be awesome. But
it'd be great. There's just, as a poll, to be completely honest, I was surprised he was a finalist because he's a poll. Not because he doesn't deserve it, but just because he's a poll. Like, they just don't do it. One thing I will say also in not to degrade Sean, like he's great, but watching him this weekend, all I could think was, this dude is JT Giles Harris, and I love JT Giles Harris. Like, understand, I'm not saying that as an insult. He's JT Giles Harris in that he is going to basically eliminate one player on your team. He is going to make you basically play 5-on-5. But otherwise, he's not really going to be involved in your defense. He's not going to be part of slide packages and recovers and second slides. Like, that's just not what he does. He is going to man up one-on-one against your best player and essentially take them out of the game. And JT Giles Harris didn't win a Tewaaraton either. So I think that's pretty safe to say. I think Willem Firth, his best chance was for Cornell to make a deep run. I just don't think there's any real shot at Willem Firth. Again, not because he's not a great player. He just there's a combination of elements that has to happen, and I don't think he has. Owen Duffy, I would say, is similar. Obviously, UNC made a slightly better run. He has more eyes on him. I just don't think they made a deep enough run. I don't think he had enough of a good game. It didn't help that he missed the round one game, right, with the injury. So yeah, it really feels like it's down to Joey Spallina and Nate Kabiri. And again, I don't think that there's a wrong answer, but I don't know which is the more right answer. I think Nate Kabiri gets overlooked a lot. I think Chad Palumbo is the heart of that team, and I think they draw so much from him and his energy and stuff. But I think Nate Kabiri is the engine. I think everything runs through him on that offense. I think arguably is the best team, though, like you have said, is he the most important player on that team? And there's an argument that he isn't. I don't think there's an argument that Joey is the most important player on that Syracuse team. So I guess we'll see tomorrow night. By the time people are listening to this, it may have already been decided. No, that it was not when we're recording. The women's finalists, I don't think you and I are going to pretend like we know a whole lot. Alyssa Chung from Navy, Bridget Duffy from Army, Chloe Humphrey from UNC, Reagan O'Brien from Johns Hopkins, and Madison Taylor from Northwestern. I think you're in a similar boat there. Chloe Humphrey and Madison Taylor are probably the two that you would think are going to win it. Reagan O'Brien, look, we say defensemen don't win it. I would not be wholly shocked if Reagan O'Brien, I don't know, wins. You know, we talk about caused turnovers and how it can be a bit of a misleading stat. How about she has 61 more caused turnovers than the second place player? The second place player had 23, so she would have to more than triple her output to get anywhere near Reagan O'Brien. When you're that statistically different, maybe there's an argument there. But otherwise, it really feels like it's Chloe Humphrey. She had 159 points this season, and Madison Taylor had 158. So Madison Taylor has the trophy that really matters. Obviously, Chloe Humphrey is also a sophomore, which I don't necessarily think should come into play on these, but I did kind of wonder with the men if that comes into play a little bit with Joey Spallina being a senior and Nate Kabiri being a junior. If maybe they say, all right, Joey Spallina's got it and Nate has another chance next year.
Nah, that's bad reasoning, in my opinion.
I'm not saying
you can't allow outside factors to, at the end of the day, they're both playing on the same field. It's not like one is a starter and one's a bench guy coming in playing limited reps. So plus Kabiri could win it again next year anyway. Assuming he takes another step forward. So even if he loses this one, he may very well just come back and be in contention next year too. But
I I agree with you that I don't think it's a very good reasoning. I'm not entirely sure that it hasn't been involved in the reason why a player has won in the past, though, is my thing. And
Sure.
I'm not even talking about Matt Rambo, who's probably the most obvious case of he's a senior who won't be around next year, so we're going to give him the award. I think there's been other times where guys what?
I just, you know how those fans are. You know.
Oh, you think they're coming for me? Listen,
Yeah.
I think most Maryland fans would agree that 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 Tewaaraton probably belonged elsewhere, but that's fine. So that's just my thing, is that I'm not sure that it hasn't been relevant in previous editions, so it might end up being relevant here in both the men's and women's. Excuse me. Interestingly enough, I read that the ESPN, whoever's writing the ESPN articles, has said that Joey pulled away from the pack, which blows my mind how he pulled away from the pack. But okay, I guess.
I don't know. Sure.
Let's move over. Sorry, I was reading my notes and trying to figure out if there was anything else left, and then I just like. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Tewaaraton tomorrow night. Let's move over to the PLL. They are heading to Baltimore this weekend. Lots of big games. Lots of people being added to rosters. We seem to have gotten most of the NLL players back. Most all of the NCAA players have also signed their contracts and will be joining teams. Chad Palumbo, Joey Spallina, they will both be playing with their teams this weekend. One player that will not be playing with his team this weekend, it was announced that Jeff Teat is officially out for the season, which is a bummer for anyone who likes lacrosse. He had surgery on his shoulder and will be out for the rest of the season. I'm wondering what you think, before we get into the games this weekend, what does that do to the Atlas odds this year?
Well, I mean, he's the best lacrosse player on the planet, so I'd say that hurts him pretty deeply. But
Do you have Jeff Teat as the best player on the planet?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, he's in the conversation. I'm not.
I mean, yeah, but I don't really know who else is doing it in all variations of the game. I'm not saying you have to play all variations, but I'm saying every variation he plays, he dominates. The only other one that I would really say does that at an elite level in every category, funny enough, is Zach Currier. I think there are a couple others that, if you want to talk about just PLL or just NLL, maybe even just sixes, you might have, an argument for some guys, but who?
I got one more. Who just won the MVP?
In what?
He forgot. In the NLL.
In the Brett Dobson?
He forgot already. Yeah, Brett Dobson.
I mean, yeah, but goalies are like a separate category to me, because I don't know why, but sure, you could put him there too, but I can't explain it.
I agree with you.
It's just a different thing to me.
I agree with you. Zach Currier should be in that conversation. Obviously, Jeff Teat is in the conversation. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in there. I just wondered, is that who you would say is the best? I still have a tough time not having Dane Smith on that list.
Yeah, yeah. The hard part with Dane is we haven't seen him play field in a minute, but
yeah,
I was gonna say he's a guy that even when you watch him play box, you're like, man, he could be so good in field.
Yeah. Well, and then obviously Lyle Thompson would be
Yep,
another one
yep.
of those guys that's like, man, if he would just play field, like he would probably be in that conversation too. One of these days we should have like who's the top who's your top five, all best all around players, because and you can leave out the goalies if you want. They'll come for you. That's fine.
I mean, we could always put a separate spot for goalies because I think they deserve a spot at the table. I'm just saying it's they do one thing
Where
at
do you,
the same
where does
same
where
time.
does here would be the interesting conversation. We don't have to have it right now, but the interesting one would be, where's Blaze Reardon?
I don't know. All I know is Jeff Teat, massive loss for the Atlas. Not happy it's happening, but I'm happy it's happening
Change
this
subjects so quickly.
week. Nah, we went on a tangent, so I'm just redirecting us.
Yeah, because you didn't want to answer. You didn't want to talk about Blaze. I got you. I'm
I'll
listen. I'm
talk about
smelling
it,
what you're
just not
stepping
right
in.
now.
I got you.
Because it is silly to say that a dude that just made history as a box goalie and should have won MVP last year in the PLL as well is somehow a second fiddle. In my humble
I didn't say second
opinion.
fiddle. What I said was, it's an interesting conversation because he's the only guy you were talking about, like versatility and how like goalies kind of don't count because they don't do a lot, but the versatility that he has playing as a forward in box and playing as a goalie in field, in a lot of ways almost deserves its own category, because like, how do you compare that to what Jeff Teat does? Or, like, I don't know. Again, conversation for a different day. I'm not saying that we have to decide.
Only one way to find out. Put Jeff Teat in goal. You heard it here first. Neil Barrett wants Jeff Teat to play goalie and
I
see
didn't
what
even
happens.
say it. You did.
Liam Entenmann, Jeff Teat is coming for your job just to test out the theory.
That's so
Everyone
funny
heard you say it. I don't know.
God, that's so funny though, because what was it? What were we talking about? Oh, I know what it was. When I literally today was talking about how you would rather have Brennan O'Neill in goal for the Outlaws
Yes.
than someone else. Anyway,
Hey, I almost put in the chat the way he's shooting this summer, man.
dude, what's
That's how goalies are
What's
made,
going
man.
on
That's
with
how
him?
goalies are made.
I don't understand. Like, part of me is like, he's got to be hurt, right? Or has he just not been able to adjust from a season of shooting on a box goal? Like, I don't.
The thing is, that shouldn't even
doesn't make
affect
any
you really,
sense.
because some of these shots, you should be able to hit them at the goalie's feet, and he's just flat out missing the cage. That's all it is, in my opinion.
Arguably,
I just don't get it.
I could understand it going the other way. Like, after a long PLL season, of course, you have several months,
Yes.
so it doesn't matter. But if you rolled right into the NLL season and you were going from a bigger goal to a smaller goal, like, okay, I can see that taking some adjustment. But going from a smaller goal to a bigger goal, I'm like, what? How? You have more things to shoot at. Not only is the goal bigger, the goalie is smaller. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway-
Although I did say on the Rough Rider podcast last week that I think this is a Brennan O'Neill game this week.
It's a good little segue. Let's move into the games
Yeah.
this week. We start with the Cannons versus the Whips. Then we head over to the game that you were talking about, the Atlas versus the Outlaws, obviously a championship game rematch. Then we have the Archers and Whips and the Chaos versus the Water Dogs to end us out. That's weird. I never understand why
Why
the
are
Whips aren't playing,
Why are there 3 games
because there's a
on
WLO
Saturday?
game. There's
Okay. On Friday?
Yeah, there's a WLO game. I think so. Yeah, I think it's 6:00 is the Cannons Whips, and then 8:00 is or 8:30, whatever it is the Palm Charm game, and then the
Okay.
3 PLO games are on Saturday. And we'll talk about the Palm Charm later. Not that we're gonna have a ton to say because it'll be their first game, but anyway. So those are the 4 games. Like I said, there's gonna be lots of new faces in these teams for the weekend. What are you looking at?
Um, I don't know. A lot of new faces. Same thing as the past couple of weeks. Not that this week doesn't matter, but I don't know how to really pre game evaluate it too much.
It feels like like week one.
Yeah, like the Chaos have a lot of shakeup, I think, in general. So that's something to look at. But the pieces they're getting back though are really good. So it's like theoretically they should get better, but that even the shakeup can sometimes cause issues. Maryland, I think, has looked really good one week, and not that they looked bad necessarily. I'm trying to remember what was their loss. Who did they? Oh, they beat Atlas last week 12-6, and they lost 16-14 week one. That's what it was. So I'm curious to see how they respond in their homecoming weekend, especially because Boston is a team that I really do think is going to be Jekyll and Hyde this year again, of just high highs and low lows. But they do end up playing Utah on the second day, which they had Aiden McGuire. They got back some NLL guys, so curious to see them play as well. Funny enough, I think that Denver-New York game is probably the closest, roster-wise to their normal rosters that they've had all year so far. Maybe Pat Cav comes back and plays. I don't know anything about that, but would love to see that happen. Yeah, no Dylan Ward, so sad for me, but I don't know.
It is going to be interesting to see who comes back. I know obviously the Rock players are back. The Owen Hilt, CJ, Sam English, they're going to be back.
Yeah, that Water Dogs offense is going to be wild.
Yeah, so the Water Dogs is going to be interesting to watch to see. They really have to start making some choices now, some decisions about who's going to play where and what they're going to do. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Are we going to go back to CJ? Excuse me, I keep burping. I'm sorry. Are we going to go back to CJ out of the box like he was last year, or is he going to slot right back into the attack and you bump out, Jake Taylor or whoever? I don't even know what else you would do with that roster. If you bump CJ down, like what else would you do other than the thing was didn't they end up dropping Jake Taylor last year because they just couldn't really run him out of the box, I think, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was something weird. I don't fully remember, but
I think they ended up.
I can't remember if he continued to or not. They may have.
Yeah, I can't remember. I feel like they didn't, but I might be totally misremembering that. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I've really liked the Chaos, but
shocker.
Settle down. This guy. You know who else the Water Dogs, before I move over to the cast, you know who else the Water Dogs is getting? Josh Yago.
Yep.
So.
Well, assuming he wants to suit up right away.
Well, yes, I haven't seen his name that he's signed, his contract the way that we've seen Chad Palumbo and Andrew McMeekin and several of the other guys who were involved in that game signed theirs. But I don't know if you saw, he did say that he had cleared with his bosses at the Space Force that he's got the whole summer clear to play the PLL this year. So that will be... Yeah. You're right. I haven't seen him for this week, so maybe that doesn't happen yet. But it's going to be really interesting. Also, we haven't gotten into it yet, but Kyle Lewis was apparently very impressive during the PLL Pro Day today. He's another guy that they also have to add to that offense. That offense could just be absolutely insane. I'm legitimately concerned about who's going to play, who's going to get dropped, who's going to carry the ball and run that offense, and who's going to try and play off ball. So the Water Dogs is interesting. Chaos, I think I'm less concerned about them, but I am interested to see how Owen Hiltz and Chad Palumbo work with the way that Brennan Nichtern and Jackson Eicher have been forming. It feels like it's either going to be really good or really bad. Like it's going to kind of kill the momentum, or they're just going to like skyrocket. And I don't know why it would kill the momentum. They feel like they're very well placed pieces. Eicher on one side, Nichtern at X, and Owen Hiltz on the other side. Like I can't imagine a more suited for each other kind of offense. It feels a lot like that Water Dogs offense that they started with last year, where it was Sowers at X and then Kieran McCardle and Jake Taylor, and they all just like complemented each other so well. So that's going to be interesting. I think Joey with the whips is going to be fun to see. Going to be interesting to see what they do with him, especially in relation to Rob Pennell and who's playing at X, who's running out the box. Weirdly enough, I'd say, not that I'm not interested, but the one I'm probably the least interested in is the Denver Atlas game, just because I feel like we already kind of know what those teams are, and it's like I said earlier, it's essentially week one, because it's going to be kind of the first time that we've seen all these teams at more or less full strength, their full complement of guys, barring an injury here or there. So I'm kind of less intrigued. It's going to be cool to see Aiden McGuire play an attack, I guess.
Superstar attackman, Aiden McGuire.
short stick defensive attackman over there. And then, I think the other big question for this week is Asher. Whether or not he dresses, whether or not he plays, like what happens there. I'm still kind of the opinion that I thought he was, that I believed them that he was injured. All the words that we got from reporters and people that should be in the know was that he was actually injured. But then, of course, other people said differently. So I guess we'll see. Actually, let's do this. Kind of a quick hit here. The PLL Pro Day was today. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. You and I were not there. We're going off of other reports. It was an interesting thing to learn about, because I don't think they did a great job, as they haven't with a lot of things the last year or so. I don't think they did a great job of explaining the PLL Pro Day. It was invite only. It was open to undrafted players and current player pool players, and people who had been drafted in the third and fourth round of this past draft were also eligible. They had to be designated by their team. As far as I know, there were only two. Kyle Lewis was one, and there was another one, Jack Taylor maybe, from Jacksonville. It was, I think, maybe the other one. Two guys that were drafted that were also at the PLL Pro Day. It gave them, the coaches and the GMs, a way to kind of evaluate the talent that was there, and I thought it was. I was confused because, again, I didn't feel like they really did a good job of explaining the PLL Pro Day, and so I was confused on why, like, Kyle Lewis was there after being drafted. But then once it was explained to me that third and fourth rounders were eligible to be designated, it made a lot more sense, because those are the guys that oftentimes wouldn't have a real chance to make a roster. Like, Kyle Lewis played in the national championship this weekend. He missed training camp. When were the Water Dogs ever going to look at him, if not for this pro day? So, speaking of Kyle Lewis, based on the internet reactions from people that were there, he was probably one of, if not the most impressive player during the PLL Pro Day. I know I saw some Jack Taylor stuff. I saw Aiden O'Neill stuff. There was one other dude. Shockingly, there was a lot about Finn Thompson kind of when it started, but then I didn't really hear his name the whole rest of the day. So that was interesting because he's one of those seniors from Syracuse that we were talking about. Maybe making a PLL roster at some point. So interesting. I wonder what you think about the PLL Pro Day just in general as a concept.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a little bit confused by it just because it was after the season and all of that.
Yeah, the timing is
and again, like the whole thing about guys on rosters playing as well. I don't think that was really explained super well. Again, it's not an issue for me because I still like to hear about those guys, playing and whatnot. But I think it's good that they're starting this because that means they can move it around timeline wise potentially. That said, I don't know when else they would do it, but I think it's good that some guys, even outside of the main guys we just talked about, that they're also going to get looks that they may not have otherwise gotten.
There was a poll that I hadn't heard of, and I kept seeing his name, and I forgot to write it down. But there was a poll that I heard a lot of really good things about as well. And again, like I said, it was a guy I hadn't really heard of. I want to say maybe
Liam Quinn.
Maybe maybe is that the
from St. Joseph's?
I know TLN posted a video of him detwigging somebody. Whoever the player was. I didn't think it was Liam Quinn, but maybe it was. I don't remember. I guess I could grab.
Yo, hold on. Is Jesse Bernhardt coaching for the Outlaws?
Maybe.
Or is he like a scout or something?
They made that new position. That's like it's like a pathway to coaching kind of position.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an intern kind of position. And there was somebody, maybe it was Jesse. There was a well-known ex-player that I remember got one of those positions. Maybe it was Jesse.
Jordan Stevens. But Dan Arestia is saying that Jesse Bernhardt was there today at the pro day. And I thought I saw him in an Outlaws shirt as well earlier. So I'm like, interesting. Anyway.
I was trying to see if I could find this person's name. Oh, of course, they didn't post it on Instagram, and for some reason, that's where I went. Shoot. This is super fun radio for you guys. I think it was Alex Keener. Yes, Alex Keener from St. Joseph's. Yeah, he was a name I saw several times, and several people being like, "Yeah, he looks really, really good." So yeah, like you said, it's cool to see some of these guys getting an opportunity. I think we've seen it in the first 5 or so years of the PLL. These guys would never get seen. They'd never get seen. They would never get an opportunity to kind of put a stamp on. I even last year, I don't know if you remember, Christopher Davis got drafted, I think, in the 3rd round out of Cornell, and then because Cornell won the national championship, he missed training camp and never got picked up, never got seen, nothing. And I'm like, that was a dude that was drafted in the 3rd round out of the national championship Cornell team. Like, it's not like he was nobody, and he didn't get seen. He didn't get looked at. And then, guys like Josh Balkersell came in and did get seen in camp and got to prove what they're capable of. And I think it's cool that there's another opportunity for people. I agree with you that I think the timing is a little funky, but I think the timing's mostly because it's hard to get, 25 dudes from 25 different schools in one location during the school year, during, you know, lacrosse season probably. So unless they want to do it maybe at the end of summer for like next year where guys are like pre-evaluating draft talent, or maybe even, I don't know, Christmas break or something, like when you could get guys all in the same spot for a day. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my only quote unquote issue, I guess, is just the timing of it. The fact that it's you know third week of the season already. Technically the fourth. They just had a bye week, so we're a month into the season and they are having a pro day now. So that's kind of the only weird thing there. One last thing to mention. Super fun conversation to have. UVA announced that they officially have hired Kevin Cassese to replace Lars Tiffany. So interesting if you have been keeping up with the drama surrounding Lars and the UVA program and what's been going on down there. I don't know. I don't know what else I want to say.
Nothing. Can't say I'm shocked.
No, can't say I'm shocked. Interesting that most of the people that have kind of done digging into this, I know a lot of people wanted to say that Lars leaving had a lot to do with Mark Millen. That appears to not be, at least not be as true as other people thought it would be, or thought it was. Whether or not he's completely innocent, I don't know, but certainly not as involved as people thought. And lots more seems to have come from Kevin Cassese and some of the other assistant coaches that are there. Also, I don't know if you saw Kevin Cassese's statement about Lars today, where
no, I heard that he thanked him for his time and whatever, but
he was asked something about like his relationship with Lars, and he basically said that Lars was let's see if I can find the direct quote, because the wording was real awkward, and it really felt like he was blaming.
Hang on. I'm listening to it.
Oh, I got it. I got the quote. You want it?
Sure. For the listeners.
The quote was, "There's always two sides of a relationship, so he's got to be a willing partner in that as well. But at least on my part, there's zero ill will."
He said that?
And everyone... Yeah. Yeah. And everyone was like, why would you have ill will for Lars? Lars got fired. Like, why would you have ill will for him? And then the whole, like, two sides of a relationship, and he's got to be a willing partner in that as well. It was just like, this is a really, really weird thing to say about it. And then the other big thing that I actually completely forgot until I was looking this up, so I'm glad I looked it up. Dan's tweeting that Lars signed a offer sheet back in March, and believes that he's owed money and could technically, I guess, be the UVA head coach again moving forward if he wanted to. I doubt he'd want to at this point, but Kevin Cassese is also a really interesting hire because he wasn't very good at Lehigh, and then since he got to UVA, his 2 seasons at UVA are their 2 worst seasons since Lars got there. And I saw a comment that was really interesting that I thought, like, oh yeah, this makes so much sense. The idea of, like, even if none of the Lars drama went down and it was just a standard, like, he wasn't good enough, so we're letting him go and we're trying to, we want to win national championships. You fired Lars to bring in a guy who's like a 500 head coach and was a part of the 2 seasons that you fired Lars for. And so, like, even just on just the coaching aspect, like, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, he could end up being a great coach for them. I'm not going to talk about that, but now I just have so many more questions after the quote. I didn't see he said that, so
yeah.
Why?
Well,
why even
and
say that?
especially,
Goodness gracious.
yeah, especially in the light of people saying that essentially he led the charge to get Lars fired.
And you can't tell me he's not on
so
social
that he
media
could
seeing that. Like, there's just no shot that he had no idea. Like, oh.
I think the longer quote, he did mention, like, oh, there's this narrative out there. And so I'm like, so it's out there. You know what's being said about you. And that's what you choose to say about it? Like, you're not helping, dude.
He didn't even have to, like, decline the narrative. He just has to not add on to it. And that makes it sound, it insinuates
right.
that Lars is not putting forth the effort to have a good relationship there. And that, like you said, coming on the backs of maybe there was some inside things happening. Like, that's not a great look. Wow. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, so on that bombshell, let's wrap it up. You got anything going on this week?
Not that I know of. What is this week? Yeah, no, not that I know of.
29th, 30th.
Just gonna hopefully watch some lacrosse. Yeah, that's about it.
I gotta work all weekend. I just realized I have to watch these games on tape delay, or maybe on my computer or something while I'm there. That's dope. On Friday, gonna go watch one of my favorite bands, so that'll be fun. Good old.
Nice.
Actually, you know what? You know what sucks? There's 2 bands, Emery and Amberlin. I don't know if you know either of them. It doesn't matter. Those exact 2 bands, I saw almost exactly, like literally almost to the day, 20 years ago. And that makes me feel really freaking old.
Wow.
2006, I saw these 2 bands play in Winston-Salem. And now I'm going to go see them again on Friday night. Almost exactly 20 years later. So that's fun. I mean, I'm excited about the show, but I'm also going to be very old. Very old. That part I'm not excited about. But also I grew up going to shows, and I had a realization probably 10 years ago when I was 30 that the shows are a young man's game. I have to stand in the back now with the parents.
Yep. Yep.
My legs hurt.
Honestly, I'd rather
my
be
back
in the back
hurts.
too.
I can see, I can hear. I don't need to
Yeah.
be in there getting punched in the back of the head by some idiot. Like, no, I'm good. My knees hurt, my back hurts. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not much of a concert guy, so I'm good.
Why not?
I think most bands don't sound great live, especially compared to the recording, and that really bothers me. That's not to say that I haven't been to concerts I enjoyed, but and also like there aren't very many artists that I like enough of their songs to want to go to a concert. Again, there's a couple of exceptions, but you know, it's all right. I'm not hating. If you like concerts, go to your concerts. Hey, you know, it's. I know some people that go just because they love that atmosphere. That's sports for me. So
That's fair.
I'll stay in my lane.
I like sports.
Yeah. I like
One of these
sports,
days
he
I'll
says
have
on
to
his
go to
sports talk show.
I don't know what you're talking about. Listen,
We
we
actually
can
hate
start
sports
soccer
over
more.
here. Oh,
We do
I'm
hate
busy
sports,
that
that's
day.
true.
Actually, I
I'm busy that day. The
yeah,
day
I
that we have
think
to
my
talk
vocal
about soccer,
cords are
you're
having
busy.
surgery that day. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
that is all for this week. If you enjoyed this episode, the Lax Lifers Club is where our community lives between episodes. It's a Discord server for the fans watching lacrosse year round, not just when the tournament's on, since it just ended. AKA, as we would call it, a lifer. The link to join is in the description. Across social media, you can find me at I am Neil Barrett, and Brandon is at Hoot Sports Media. If you haven't yet, rate and review the show on whatever platform you're listening on. It takes about 30 seconds and genuinely helps people find us. We will be back next week, so until then, as always, we'll catch you guys in the comments.